A beautiful afternoon to you. Welcome to Rubbin Minds. My name is Isabella Adediji. Over the past week, Nigeria clocked 64, and one of the high points of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's speech was the announcement of a 30-day National Youth Conference. Now, the young people have made their voices known on social media. Some have even gone to the streets. But is a conference the answer to some of the many questions that have been posed to this administration? Also, over the past couple of weeks, we've witnessed elections take place at state level and local government level. And there are some murmurings, there are some statements that have been made about Nigeria slowly becoming a one-party state. These are some of the topics we'll be discussing here today on Rubbin Minds. I have the pleasure of introducing Justice Ojieno to Rubbin Minds.
It's my
Welcome.
pleasure to join you on set.
And we also have Boladale Adekoya. Welcome to Rubbin Minds.
It's a pleasure.
Good to have you. So, Nigeria at 64. How would you rate our journey so far? And I'll start with you, Justice.
Okay, I think it's been one of ups and downs. But largely, if I'm to give a verdict on the present state, it is more on the downward trajectory than the up. And I say this against basic facts. And let me just use one and maybe just to move to other issues. As at 2015, our GDP, which is a basic to use to judge the size of any economy, was almost $500 billion. But as it stands now, it's less than 300 billion. So if we are saying we are using basic metrics to even judge our journey as a nation, yes, we didn't start that high when we started at in 1960 or 1914, depending on how back we want to date our existence as a nation. But between 2015 and now, it's been a downward trajectory. I pray that we enjoy another upswing. We go beyond 500 billion, we go beyond 700 billion, or even 1 trillion as the government of the day is projecting. I wish them well. It will be in my benefit and to your own benefit too.
And to the benefit of all Nigerians.
Definitely.
And Boladale, what about you? Do you share optimism as Nigeria turned 64 during the past week?
Well, I think the indications are all around us. I will not be fair to those on the streets of Lagos, Kano, and Abuja if I'm to sit down here and give hope. There is no hope. There is no. It's so obvious. The last time we have something that looks like hope was almost 10 years ago. We've witnessed in this country that we now have individuals who we elect into office and end up backstabbing us. People who make promises and tell tales of good lies, of hope and aspirations for Nigerians only to get there and care more about themselves and their personal well-being. We've seen it. It is obvious. There is no hope in this present situation that Nigerians have found themselves in. It is unfortunate. It is disturbing. But from all indices, from where we are presently, I have not seen any policy that has taken into account the well-being and welfare of the average Nigerian at heart. I have not seen it.
So, Justice, is the response of a 30-day National Youth Conference announced by the President in his Independence Day speech, is that a positive response? Is that the way forward? Is there a chance for us to dialogue and maybe get some of the answers we so desire?
I pray so. For me, if the president or the government is doing it in good faith, I don't think it's a bad one, especially if the process that brings up the youth to be the correct youths, to be at the table, to have conversations with their fellow youths and with the authorities. I think that it's not a bad idea. It's not too much for the youths to meet with the government. But again, the question has always been, is it being done in good faith? We've had similar conferences, national conferences. What's the procedure that brought them upwards? That's number one. Number two, when they got there, what were they doing? A lot of them were sleeping, even though some made concrete contributions. at the end of the contributions, what happened to the communique, what happened to the white paper, the blue paper, or whatever color of paper that was eventually generated? It's still gathering dust somewhere. So I pray that it is not just a ploy for the government to use to always allay the fears of the youth and prevent them from going out to make demands, prevent them from going on the streets to protest. Well, if that is the case, I do not see it as a bad idea, but is the government doing it genuinely? That's usually the rhetorical question that we seem never ever to perpetually get an answer to.
But Boladale, compared to the protest, is the national conference that is coming from the presidency a solution that we can have meaningful engagement? Have the protests been successful in your own views, and should we be exploring avenues such as this conference?
First, talking about the protests, I think it has been successful a bit, at least the first few days when it started. It was until people got weary, and of course we saw the attacks on civilians by the police and the military officers.
Well, on October 1st, we saw protests happening.
Of course, people got tired. You see, when we're doing the same thing and the result seems to be the same as well, there's no further action on it. People got tired. I think they've made a conscious decision that they will wait till the next election to do whatever they need to do. But talking about the National Youth Conference, I think it's a distraction. For you to convey a National Youth Conference, even the term National Youth Conference does not is a lazy word to use. If you are going to convey a confab, let's know it's a confab that has a legal backing on that whatever decision that is taken there can be further taken to the Senate or to the House of Rep, and they can take decisions on it. But if you are saying you have a National Youth Conference where the process of even getting these youth that will come there are people that are going to be selected via party words, man no man, they will come there, you give them stipends, they will sit down, a talk show. At the end of the day, just to allay their fears and maybe sing some new readings to them, you take it, and after that you feel all is done. Because to their mentality, they feel that, oh, Nigerian youths have a larger population, and of course, they're not in government. We saw it clearly that the present administration, and it has even been confirmed over almost 10 years now, that every society administration in this country does not understand the dimension that the next century of governance should be. First case in point was the removal of the national anthem. And that is, people don't understand how significant that is. They are saying that, oh, they felt that the national anthem that they got used to while they were growing up was better, was well worded. But that is just in the preamble. The meaning is that the youth, this present generation, that ought to be part and parcel of the administration, part and parcel of governance, their footprint was totally removed. They went back to when they were younger. So they are telling them, and you look at the present administration, how many Nigerian youths is a cabinet office holder across all states? I'm talking about people between the age of 20 to 30 to 35. How many of them, of course I don't qualify the youth, but how many of them, they have a larger population, how many of them are holding ministerial positions in this country? How many of them are holding Minister of State? How many of them are holding head of agencies in this country? And that's one of the problem we have. When you keep putting people that their mannerism, their way of thinking is archaic, they expect respect at every point in time, rather than doing the job, this is the kind of things you get. It's a lazy initiatives, lazy ideas like National Youth Conference that you'll be getting.
Some will say that going into 2027, that's where the real opportunity for change, for the youth to make their voices heard on the ballot sheet. But looking at some of the elections that have happened, are you seeing Nigeria like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar said, it's drifting into a single party system? Is this something that's a concern to you? Is this a reality to you?
For me, it's a very, very hard one for me to answer. If we are expecting that objectively the way and manner to change office or to change politicians or a set of politicians in Nigeria is by the ballot box, I think that gradually, the average Nigerian is having bankruptcy of trust in the electoral process, especially with INEC and with all the other supporting bodies. By the supporting bodies, I mean law enforcement. And we saw what happened in Rivers State yesterday. I do not totally share the optimism. River State was a situation yesterday for the first time where people are strolling into election places and actually voting without law enforcement presence and all. And that's why I'm having a very, very serious issue, because there are still lingering allegations as to ballot stuffing, voter sheet manipulations, and all. Since it has not left us, then we cannot share that level of optimism. And with respect to what the Vice President said as to tendering towards a unitary party system, it's so painful, because the beauty of democracy is when there is actually an opposition that is perpetually on the neck of the party in power. And it reminds me of what Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the ruler of Dubai, said as an allegory when he used the plains of Serengeti, where in order for a lion to be alive, he has to run faster than the slowest deer. And in order for the deer to be alive, he has to run faster than the fastest lion. That is what I feel the grim position of opposition should be in Nigeria. But that is not the situation. At the federal level, at the state level, at the local government level, unfortunately, that we are seeing that it is a one-man show. We see elections where at the federal level, it is who the incumbent wants to be in power that actually gets power. At the state level too, the same thing. No opposition gets to win any position in Nigeria. And that is very, very unfortunate. It goes to show that to a large extent, it is not what the electorate is deciding. So when we say we are being optimistic that, okay, 2027, some things will change, 2031, some things will change, I share the optimism, and I also pray that that is the situation. But until we amend our constitution, until we amend the Evidence Act, and until we amend our Electoral Act, I do not think that what has happened in the past will not repeat itself.
Bola Dale, do you share the same pessimism, and do you see godfatherism or godmotherism at play in some of the elections that have happened in the past few weeks?
You see, the issue is this: we need to understand the process of election. The what we call democracy, they said, is one of the most beautiful systems of government, but it has its flaws. One of the major flaws is that it can be manipulated. If you have the money, if you have the influence, you can manipulate it. You can determine the outcome. And if you want to play a game, you must understand the rules of the game and play it accordingly. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar claiming or saying that Nigeria is heading towards a one-party state. For someone like this that is a veteran in the game, I do not expect such statement from him. He should understand. First and foremost, what is Labour Party? That party itself should not have existed.
Why shouldn't it have existed?
It's very simple. See, if you're a political scientist or if you understand the process of governance, of politics itself, you will know that Labour Party existing a year before the election and someone as influential as Peter Obi becoming the flag bearer of that political party itself is a division to the opposition pool.
But Labour Party has always existed.
Okay, when I say Labour Party existence, it is not in registration, rather. It's in influence.
Prominence,
yes.
influence.
And we've seen that. It should not have existed. It should not have been taken to that pedestal. It should not, because people should understand that for those in power, their number one goal is to continue to hold on to power. Sentiment aside. So if you are coming out and saying they want to, yes, of course, they want to continue to rule.
So are you
when
saying
PDP was in power, PDP was saying that they will rule this country for 60 years. That was because they had a determination. And when the coalition parties came up together and formed, they also had to rule. And they did everything humanly possible. The present president used to say something. He said, power is not served like a cat. It's not a dish they give to you to take home. You have to work for it. You have to do the work. The grassroots work, the strategic work. It is not something you just come out and start shouting, they've taken power away from us. Who cares? You get it. Whatever program, whatever ideas you have, you get it. We've seen the election in the US presently. We've seen how brutal, how bad it is. We see how a president who has gotten the ticket of the party was forced out because they knew he could not win the election. And they gave it to someone else.
So in your own words, the opposition needs to come together?
The opposition needs to come. They need to get their heart together.
Or they need to be serious.
See, the fact of Peter Obi going to Labour Party, one Kwankwaso being in NNPP is just a distraction. They don't know what they are doing. If they are truly concerned about winning the election, Of course, there's a difference between election and actually taking care of the people. That's a different conversation entirely. But if they're concerned about winning the election, they have to form a united front. Whatever personal interest or whatever sentiment they have, it should be aside. They want to rescue this country, like they usually say. They should come together, choose any of the political parties, and stay there. And that is the only way. But if you feel you go around and you balkanize yourself and you say you want to win the party in power, you're shouting that there is only one party in Nigeria. Who cares?
Let me tell you where I differ a bit from what Mr. Bola is saying. I feel that if we had gotten our act together as a democracy, it's not wrong if we have more than two parties. He referenced the US. And one of the major challenges that the US is having is just still a binary option.
A two-party horse race. A
two-party horse race. So if you have two terrible candidates, sorry, with the best arguments that you can dish out, you have to say you are choosing the lesser evil.
I want us to move to the conversation on food inflation, because this is something that affects everybody. The man on the streets, the woman in the house, it affects both rich and poor. What is the solution to food inflation? And the government putting out a statement that is going to make rice at an affordable level or at an affordable price available. Is that a reality? Are we seeing that, Bola Dale?
Nigeria probably will be the only country that I know of, I may be wrong, that cuts every form of welfareism and social nets when it gets to power. See, US talk about being a capitalist society, and even with the so-called capitalism, there is a safety net for the people. It's called welfareism. The people are elected into power, you must ensure that their life is better. If it's not better, at least leave them to that level that you made them. You cannot remove subsidy, make electricity tariff, increase electricity tariff, float the naira, and the citizens, so-called citizens that you claim and you swore to uphold and make their life better, are benefiting zero. The most important thing in this life, and we all know, food, clothing, and shelter. Presently in Nigeria, you pay more to feed yourself. You pay more to transport yourself to work. You pay more for house rent. And even people are no longer even buying clothes. People they just keep wearing their old clothes. And that is the problem we have. So, an administration, a new administration that cares about the people, the first thing you have to do, your first point, is food subsidies. Easy. See, the ideology around rice is nauseating. We know what you can do to make rice, cheaper in this country. We know. See, when Buhari came, he said, "Oh, let's encourage the local industry."
So the government knows what it can do to make food available and cheaper.
Yes.
So that's all we can take here on Rubbin Minds on this segment. Thank you so much, Bola Dale Adekoya and Justice Ojiano, for your contributions.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah. We'll go on a quick break on Rubbin Minds. Do join us again. Welcome back to Rubbin Minds. Now, there's an exciting campaign, Her Money, Her Power, and it focuses on empowering women through financial independence and economic literacy. It aims to close that gender wealth gap and advance the careers of women by giving them the necessary skills to help them manage their money, to thrive, to be successful in their careers, and have their own money. Like we say on the streets, vex money is good. Now, to join us in this conversation, we have a lawyer, Boluwatife Ashurono.
Thank you.
Welcome to Rubbin Minds.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me, Her Money, Her Power, what was the inspiration behind you joining this campaign?
I am someone who firmly believes in women having their economic and financial independence, because I feel like that's the key to personal growth and personal freedom. So Her Money, Her Power is a campaign that aligns totally with what I believe in, that women should be in charge of their financial and economic destiny. So I personally believe that having the means, the opportunities, And, all of that is something that we women should aspire, to have. So it's a campaign that, aligns with me. So I'm so glad to be on board with them.
Okay, when it comes to financial literacy, I want you to cast your mind back to primary school, secondary school, university. Do you feel that the education system provided you with the necessary training, skills, education to be financially independent as a woman?
To be honest, half and half. I mean, education is why I'm a lawyer, but life itself has taught me so many things that I wasn't taught in my classroom, like from personal experiences to, being a mom, and, all of that real life stuff has, changed everything. So yes, the school, the classroom is one thing, and then real life is another thing. When you get to see, how women are treated, when they aren't, financially empowered. So they're just two basically different things entirely, but they aren't far apart from each other.
And why do you think it's important for this campaign to focus on women? Why is it about her money and her power? And when I say women, I'm talking about mothers, I'm talking about widows, I'm talking about single mothers, I'm talking about career women, women in its full ramification.
Yeah. Okay, so personally, I'm somebody who the trajectory of my life has changed so many times. I've had to start all over again so many times, and I realized that the common denominator is me having my money, because me having my money gives me a voice. Me having my money gives me power. So her money, her power, I get to, make decisions by myself. I don't need to rely on anybody. So the truth about it is we talk about empowerment all the time, but we also need to focus on women actually having money, because money is actually what gives us power, and that's it. That's the truth.
And what challenges do women or girls face, that gender that is unique to them compared to the male gender, to the boys?
Let's be real, there's inequality, and there's never really been that balance. So that's why you get to see everybody's every woman who has a little bit of power or voice comes out to, champion and say, oh, there should be, equality between, the gender, because there really isn't so much bargaining power on our side. So if we are given that opportunity to have, more bargaining power, I just feel like there will be more change in our homes, in the society, and even in politics, So I just feel women should also, be given a voice, and we should really, 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 really not be overlooked. So that's just it.
Now, in my introduction, I mentioned vex money. Why is it important for women to have their own money that they can vex, whether it's in a relationship or it's in a place where there's power dynamics, and some women are having to stay back and take things they shouldn't because they are financially dependent?
Okay, so, the truth about the matter is women have limited access to financial education. Women have limited access to financial resources. So even with cultural norms and all of that. So these things have been, the what would I call it, like the thing that has been putting us down. We don't have access to these things. So men, actually have more credit facilities. You don't get to see a landlord say, oh, because you're a man, you can't rent it because you're single. But we women, we have to come with somebody, to sign even tenancy agreements. We can't, do this. Women are still, they're still skeptical. Can I be in a will? Can I, like especially in the cultural, what's it called, setting now, they don't have, they don't know their rights, that they can actually, own property. So I feel there should be more, there should be more focus on us right now, because there's so much imbalance right now. And let's just be honest, the inequality is there's glaring, and we really need to bridge that gap. So.
And how is this campaigning bridging that gap? I know they had an event where it was launched. There's a campaign that has gone out, but in the day-to-day, what are the strategies for this campaign to start bridging that wealth gap?
So I don't know if you've seen the ads, beautiful ads. you see that the focus of this campaign is to do away with the outdated, belief that men should only be the ones creating wealth. It's to encourage women that we too can be wealth creators. We can, we can go out there and be somebody. We can start something. A wealthy generation can actually start from us women. So I love the campaign. It's very, it's interesting. I don't know if you've seen them. It's interesting. The focus is amazing, and the feedback has been great. So yes, it's been doing well.
So in your opinion, what do you think the role of economic empowerment is in breaking down a number of these gender inequalities, which you've spoken about, like you refer to the culture where widows sometimes are not allowed to inherit property if they don't have a son. We've seen some of these cultural gender inequalities. So how does economic empowerment help to break down these barriers?
So if women are given, more if women are given more of this power, I feel like the bargaining power would increase, and it will help the community. It would help. Okay, so for example, when I don't know if you heard, women once what a man can do, woman can do better. So if women are given a higher bargaining power, we will be able to take care. We'll be able to invest in the communities. We'll be able to invest in societies, and even empowered women can also champion gender equality. So the more we're given these seats in higher places, we'll be able to champion and sing and shout that there should be that equality between men and women.
Now let's get really personal, because we can say all these great things, but when you look at working conditions where women are being sabotaged because of their gender, when we look at relationships where women are having to remain in relationships because of that dependence, like, what are the first steps that woman who is watching the show now is saying, I really wish I could have my Vex money, I really wish I could have my power, I could have my own money. Once I do, I'll be able to make better decisions. What can they do now?
Now the thing is, they must start now. They could start small, but they must start now. There's no chilling or anything. Start now. It could be small, but be consistent. Reach out to people, join communities that help in navigating these financial systems. There's so many things out there. There's so many groups. There's so many communities you could join. I, for example, I'm a lawyer, but I also do a little bit of real estate. So I am in a community of women into real estate, and I've been there for like 4 to 5 years, and I know how much impact that has affected me and has done into my life, meeting new clients and all of that. So don't just sit back. Start small, but start now. And be consistent and reach out to people, join communities, and that's it.
Yeah, so that takes me into the conversation on mentorship. It takes me into a conversation looking at the role of role models, of sponsors. How can women help other women? Because we see the guys do it. If you look at politics, you see the godfathers pushing their sons. How can women empower the younger women? So
mentorship is invaluable. It's something that we all need, male or female, but especially we women, falling back and looking up to people who have more experience than us. It would help. It will help us be able to navigate, these financial systems. It will help us be able to have more access to financial resources. It will help us be more financially educated. So having a mentor is good for that, guidance and experience that we don't have and then our mentors have. So it is something I strongly believe in, having that a mentor, networking, and all of that. So it's important.
And to those women or girls that are stuck in those situations like abusive marriages or abusive relationships, and there's just that fear of leaving because of the benefits that they feel they have to receive or their children have to receive, what can they do to break that cycle and to gradually regain their own financial independence? Because we've had women who have stopped their jobs because their husband said, stop your job and stay at home. And they're torn between that responsibility to their family, responsibility to the marriage, but also responsibility to themselves.
You know, I feel like the society also needs to understand that there isn't really much policies in place for we women. So, you know, the more we put these policies in place, the more they know about, you know, law, that you have a right to be a beneficiary in a will. You have a right to own property. You have a right to go into, you know, business agreements and, you know, what's it called, protecting your rights and all of that. When women start getting educated, it all boils down to financial education. Everything we say, once they get to know that you can actually, you know, be these things and own something, and, you know, I feel like it will give them, you know, more courage, more confidence. Them not knowing is what is the problem right now. So once you know these things, once you know that, you know, there are actually policies in place, just that they don't know about it. But we need more of those policies. We need more awareness of these policies. So, you know, once women know this, that, you know, they're meant to be, they have a right actually, to, you know, own property, to be in a will, to, you know, go into agreements, to start businesses. I just feel like it will just change a lot, because if you really check, most women are just they are damping. They don't have that confidence, you know, because they don't know what's going on. But once you know, you can't, if you see an educated woman who knows what she's doing, you know, the difference is actually clear. So it just boils down to financial education and knowing, you know, what rights you have, and that's it.
And finally, I would say a lot of women like to look up to role models, like to look up to people they can aspire to. And a lot of times, some of the role models that are featured prominently in the media are male, whether it's politics, it's business, it's banking. We could go on and on. But who are some of the role models that are out there that are showing us that they have their money, they have their power, they are in control, that some of these women watching can aspire to and learn from their journey?
That's the reason why I love this Her Money, Her Power campaign. You see the different types of women who they've portrayed. You see a widow who's lost her husband. You know, you see an actress who's saying, you know, you can do this, you can do that. You know, just different women in different organizations, different spheres of life coming out to say, you know, if you have your money, you have your power. So I think this campaign is something that just shows that anybody and everybody can be somebody, you know, and no matter what you're going through, you're not alone. We're all going through the same thing of, you know, the inequality of, you know, being in sectors that are actually really more male-dominated, like tech and all of that. You know, there's so many men in these things. So if we start to, you know, create and, you know, have more initiatives where women know that, you know, you can actually be, you know, involved in this, you know, what's it called, businesses that are dominated by men, you know, you can actually also do it. So the campaign is one thing that I really love, because it's pushing, you know, that narrative, and is, you know, taking out the outdated belief that only men can be this, only men can be that. We too can be something, and that's it.
Thank you so much, Boluwatife Ashurona.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
And we will be going on a quick break here on Rubbin Minds. Don't go anywhere.
What else? What else?
Recently, the Future Awards Africa announced its class of 2024. Now, the Future Awards Africa was established as far back as 2006, and it is for people between the ages 18 and 31. It recognizes their achievements, their leadership potential, and it has different segments like entrepreneurship, arts, public service, and over the years, it has become that foremost continental award for the youth, and it has helped in fostering collaboration among youth across Africa. And today on Rubbin Minds, we have two members of the class of 2024. We have an actor, Genoveva Ume.
Hi.
Welcome to Rubbin Minds.
Thank you very much for having me. It's good to be here.
Good to have you. And we also have the CEO of Bumper, and that's Kelvin Umechukwu. Welcome to Rubbin Minds.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here too.
So my first question has to be that moment when you received that nomination. Were you expecting it? What came to mind? What were the emotions? And I'll start with you, Genevieve.
I definitely wasn't like expecting it. I mean, the Future Awards, I appreciate what they do, you know, for young people, just kind of reflecting the hard work that young people do and encouraging others to also do the same. So just getting the nomination and being recognized for the work that I'm doing was definitely, you know, a thing of joy, definitely encouraging. So yeah, I was quite pleased.
Quite pleased. What about you, Calvin?
I think just like you said, it was a lot fulfilling because it feels like a full circle, you know, where a lot of the work that you have done, it finally gets to be shown out there. You know, it's more like recognizing that work, and so I think that was it was a good moment for me, because not just for me but also for my team. A lot of the work that we are doing in the background is just, you know, coming forth, and, you know, having people, especially like the future project, the future award project, just recognizing us. I think that it was amazing.
Okay, I'd like you to just reflect very briefly on your journey that has led to this nomination, to this recognition, to almost this stamp of approval, like, yes, we see you, yes, we commend you, yes, we want to showcase you to the world. Let's have that journey.
I definitely feel like I've experienced a full circle moment. I was born in Enugu State, a small city called Enugu State, and I moved when I was 12. So to return back to Nigeria, especially Lagos State, after 12 years, and deciding to pursue acting, it was definitely stuff of courage and just sort of self-belief, and that was my journey, you know, coming here and just not knowing anybody and just wanting to be a part of the industry and act and to tell African stories to the world. So that was kind of my journey, and to be here telling African stories, embodying roles that mean something to myself, to women, to so many people, is really such a blessing. And I'm so grateful for how far I've come, and I know that, you know, there's definitely more in store, really. So yeah.
We don't always hear the Jakpada story. Most times it's the Jakpa. Yes, it's the Jakpa story we hear. And to think of the people aspire to go and make it big in Hollywood or to make it big in the UK film scene, but you wanted to come back to Nollywood, and you left what a lot of people are aspiring to, and I think that's really inspiring. What about you, Kelvin? What were the things that led to this nomination?
I would say a lot of it is around the work in supporting innovators and entrepreneurs. I spent the past 12 to 15 years in the tech space, building products and building communities, for various organizations. And the work that I've recently started doing, I think in the past 3 to 4 years, is building a company called Bumper, where we basically empower business owners with the tools they need to manage and grow their businesses. In my own philosophy, I think like a lot of the reasons why businesses are not growing as fast is because they are not taking advantage of these amazing innovation and tools that are out there. It's just a little bit out of reach for them. And so we are just trying to make it simple, make it easy for more business owners, even people that, that probably have not even gone to the university, but they're able to use technology to even just, get a website, manage their inventory, record their sales, sell globally, right? And so I'd say that that's like a big part of the reason why I'm here, and I'm super grateful that the work that we have done have impacted over 50,000 businesses, and I'm just excited about where we're going to after this.
Very inspiring. It's interesting that it's your work serving others, empowering others, that has led to this nomination. And who would have thought 12 to 15 years? A lot of times people just expect everything right now, and sometimes that journey does take time. So Genevieve, how do you think being a TFAA nominee will add to your work, add some value?
I definitely think that being a nominee just proves that you can do anything. If you have a goal and you're driven, you have a desire, and especially for young girls, if you have a particular skill that you want to pursue, it's worth doing it. And I think that, I'm just grateful for the platform to get to, to share that with people and to shine a spotlight on that. Yeah, and that's it.
And you, Kelvin?
I think for one is the recognition, just putting the word out there. For many of us, like especially in the tech space, the work that we do are mostly known in the tech space, but then, a platform like this takes us even beyond that, beyond the tech space. So even people that I'll probably not have reached directly, and so that reach is something that I think that will be beneficial to the platform that we're building, but also partnerships. When other organizations see you on a platform, they it gives you more credibility. It adds more value to even the work that you're doing, and so I think that's some of the things that we expect to get out of this.
Okay. Now, we've been saying the good things, the one that people like to hear, but let's reflect on the challenges, some of the things you've had to overcome. You kind of touched on it about returning to Nigeria, not knowing anybody, sort of finding your way through Nollywood. What were some of the challenges you had to overcome to be here today?
I mean, definitely, acting is not an academic subject. It's often seen as a hobby. So growing up and finding that I had this really big interest in acting, it was hard to navigate that for myself. I thought it was a hobby, and I thought it was something that I'd just have to get over. So when it was time to select a university course, I went into law. But I'm grateful for the parents that I had. They've always been supportive of my extracurricular activities. So I would show up doing that, but I had to prove that I was capable. I had to prove that by, getting training, doing the extra stuff outside of school during the summer holidays. And then, of course, moving to Nigeria to pursue it and to get opportunities on screen. So I think those were the challenges, and of course just being courageous, having the drive and self-belief to speak to people that perhaps might make you feel inferior. So yeah, those were definitely the challenges, and just a few knockbacks of being a young woman living in Lagos. That's a whole different ballgame. You know what I mean? So I think so far, having been through all of that journey, that has made me far more stronger, far more, capable, resilient, and I'm able to just know that I can do anything, really.
What about you, Kelvin? And my own question looks at, when did you make that decision, and what motivated you from just building products, doing your own thing like a tech bro, to saying, look, I want to help other people? I mean, at that point, was there a demand for it? How assured were you that it was going to be successful? And were there points where you thought, you know what, I'm tired of dealing with entrepreneurs in Nigeria, let me just go back to being tech bro and making my cool money?
I would say it was. It's sort of like the company that we have today was not necessarily, we did not plan it to be a company. I was working with my friend and current co-founder. We've known each other for over 10 years now, right? We went to school together, and so we were building something that basically helped developers host their websites online, right? My direct people I was dealing with directly were just developers, so just tech. I was only speaking tech, going to developer conferences and the like. But then we started seeing entrepreneurs themselves reaching out to us directly, saying, oh, I want to host my website. I think it was just a mistake in our marketing, right? Because they were not my target audience. And so we are like, oh, since we can build it, we are both engineers. Since we can build it, we should just go ahead to build the websites for them and then end up, and then also host it for them. And we built out a small project, but I think it was a small project where we left. But then during the pandemic, that's where this came up back. Like, hey, a lot of businesses were just,
brick and mortar, and they wanted
yes.
to pivot online.
And they could not sell online. There was nothing available, and so we just that project. Hey, let's spin it back up. I was working 9 to 5 at this time,
Wow.
right? Just doing my thing, but it was just like, okay, let's spin it out on the side and just see, but it just took off, right? In a few months, I had just, tendered my resignation, and then,
Incredible.
I went to just build out this thing. So there was no sure path. Like
feasibility studies,
this was what was going
business
to happen.
plan,
No, it was just like, hey. We wanted to create value at the time. We did that. During the lockdown, wanted to just, that project, how can it help businesses at that time? And we did that again. And then, we had someone, Okweawo, the founder of Jobberman, he went to my school, OAU, and said he gave us $20,000. Whew, we were off the,
Wow.
That time it was like 8.8 million naira. I was just so happy. And then that's when we actually said, let's turn this into a company. And so I would say, the path have not necessarily been straightforward. I know that some people will be like, you know what, this is what I want to do. It has not necessarily been clear, how I got here, right, from 9 to 5. But I know one thing for sure is that anybody that have just keep on putting one step,
in front of the other.
Just keep on going.
I think what comes through with both your stories is stories of courage and wanting to achieve an objective. In your case, is to help others. In your case, is to tell African stories, authentic stories, play characters that mean something to you. And just like he gave the example of one of his helpers, supporters, you mentioned your parents. Who are some of the people that have been a part of your journey, that have supported you in navigating Nollywood, in settling in Lagos, in just making sense of your journey as an actor?
I mean, I'm deeply grateful for everyone that has maybe trained me in acting, right from being a teenager to possibly just giving me the opportunity to be in the room and then trusting me with roles. But in this moment, I am extremely grateful for my parents and my management company at Agency 106, which is head by Isioma Osaje, which, she's absolutely amazing in terms of like, just a woman after, another woman's heart, someone that looks out for my best interests and also encourages all my goals and my aspirations and always make sure that I know my power and I own it. So yeah, those are the people, and especially people that inspire me far and wide, that I watch, I'm constantly inspired. I always say that I live inspired because it's just really, really important to feed that uniqueness, and that also helps you kind of find your footing as well.
And Kelvin, how have you been able to balance it all? Your personal growth, being a leader, helping entrepreneurs, and just living as a young person in Nigeria when there's the promise of Japa, where tech is booming abroad, and whether you choose to work in Nigeria for a tech company abroad or you choose to move abroad, like, you'll be sorted. So how are you able to balance all of that?
I think it's the people that I think I was very fortunate with the people that I met early in my career. Like, so I met people like Charles Emembolu. I worked with him for a few years. These are people in Yaboyeji, Okweawo. These people, they do multiple things at the same time, right? And I tend to figure like they have their families, have multiple businesses, and they're still learning. You see them actually going to school. My boss at the time, even Bosun Tijani, who is currently the minister, I used to work at CC Hub. I remember, just if you check his calendar, he was doing his PhD while he was, and I think these people just inspired me to feel like, there's so much I can do. And it's something that I bring even to my organization, where there's a learning budget. I have people now in my company where we're paying for them to take their MBA, right, while they're still working with us, right? I'm also taking a course at Stanford. Like, it's just continuously trying to balance, learning your personal life, but also doing the work that you're meant to do. So I would say it's just the people that I've seen, there's how you would see certain things and you will just know it's possible.
Absolutely.
You will not even know that there's, people might be struggling with something like this just because people have done it and they did it well. So I would say it's those people, like, to be honest. Like,
I think that comes through in both your answers, the role of people in your journey, supporting you, guiding you, providing for you, and just even receiving the work, because you can put out great work, but if nobody receives it, then you might as well just be working for yourself. So all that is left to say is congratulations on your nominations and all the best.
Thank you very much,
so
Isabella. Thank you for the chat.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure. Thank you again, Genevieve Ume, an actor, an award-winning actor at that, and of course the CEO of Bumper, Kelvin Umechukwu.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And it's a wrap here on Rubbin Minds. My name is Isabella Adediji. Do join us same time, same place next week. Have a good afternoon.
I am ready for your action. Just want you should cut off all distraction.